Okay.
Alright. Hi everyone, good morning. I will start talking about Jetstar. I will present for you the company right now. So I introduce the company right now. So the company Jetstar is an Australasia company. It is based on Australia. It has operation in Australia, Asia, and New Zealand. Right. The company was created in 2004. And they have the mission of the company. The mission of the company just be the cheapest price in flights tickets. So always, if for example, the promise of the company is always if any other company has a better price, they just have to bring the price to the Jetstar and they will beat the price in 10%, at least 10%. So that's the mission from Jetstar. So yeah, talking about internet components used between Jetstar, we have a question here. So when we start talking about infrastructure, but always when we talk about Jetstar, we have to follow stages. So the company should have infrastructure, exchange, interactive, and environment. When we talk about infrastructure on Jetstar, it has pretty much about cables and how the company can interact with customers using softwares and hardwares. And then when we go a little bit more deeply on it, we have exchange. So exchange is the interaction between users and the company. So in this case here, Jetstar has a website which customers can buy tickets, so they can exchange information from that platform. And then interactive. When we talk about interactive, we are talking about how the company can actually communicate with the customers in a way they will catch their attention. So for example, it might be through social media, it might be through maybe the website or a banner or something, or email marketing or something that catch their attention. So they have to create an interactive way to communicate with users and the company. And then the environment here, we are talking about online environment, so we are talking about e-marketplace. So in this case here, the company just communicate with customers using online features, so using online platforms. So yeah, that's the best way to communicate here, because we are talking about e-business. Right? So when you talk about e-business, online marketing, online marketplace is the best place to engage with customers. Right? And then why? What is the benefits of implementing e-business, right, in the company? So the principle, the most important elements when you introduce e-brand on your brand is increase brand awareness. Why? How can you increase brand awareness when you introduce e-business on your company? Because when you introduce e-business on your company, you impact people. You'll be able to impact people from everywhere, not only from your location, not only New Zealand, for example. You can impact people from maybe Australia, Asia, so any other countries which the company works. So that's the way to increase the brand awareness, because the company can introduce new innovative ways to communicate with those customers, and then kind of narrow the communications between customers and users, of customers and company, right? And then another point, the second point here, is improve customers' experience. So when you have a business company, or when you have a business, you improve the customer's experience because, for example, you don't have to think anymore about warehouse. For example, all the process is online, so you engage with customers online all the time. So you have pretty much 24/7 operation, so you can deal with customers if they have any issues, or if they have any questions about their flights or something like this. They can solve their problems through online, so it's faster. It's a fast way to communicate with them. And then enhance process. What I mean with enhance process is just, as I said, nowadays you can just use your mobile phone to go through the company, and then you can search the exactly location where you'd like to go, and then you can find a flight ticket on this mobile phone or website, and then through it you can track all your process. So you can search the place where you want to go, and then after this you can book, and then after this you can track your process. So this is a way to enhance, right? So this is a way to make it faster, actually, right? So reduce costs, because if you have a process totally online, or most of the processes online, you just have to utilize a system instead of keeping so many papers and stuff like this. So you can reduce, for example, your number of employees. You don't have to have like many employees, like finance employees or marketing employees or many others like this, because you have an online platform. So you can do everything quickly. You can track your process. You can communicate with your customers quickly as well. So that's a good way to reduce costs, because you don't have to apply. Because, for example, in this case, Jetstar use like the online, the website to promote the brand, and also promote the brand, engage with customers, and also receive revenues. Because for example, all the customers that go to the website, they can track, they purchase, and they also purchase something. If they want to buy a ticket, they can do this through the website or through the mobile phone. So that's a way. So that's why the company can reduce the costs. All right. And then the second one, like when we're talking about e-marketing, what are the principal points we have to keep in mind in order to, like what are the pitfalls we find in e-marketing? So one of them is lack of customers' information. So for example, how can we just create a marketing campaign, or how can you impact a customer if you don't know exactly who are our customers? So where they come from, what kind of behaviors they have. So first of all, we have to understand from where they come from and how we can impact them. That might be an issue, that might be a challenge for us. So we have to keep in mind this. And then another thing is the right time frame. So for example, we are talking about here online. So when you talk about online, you talk, most of the customers, they expect 24/7 assistance. All right, so we have to be really careful with this, because for example, it might impact in our reputation. Right? So for example, if they just make a question, or if they have any issues, then you can reply then, or that customer which has issues on time, it might become bigger and bigger and bigger, and it might become a bad reputation, a backlash from the company. Right? And then we have beta factor. So beta factor here, we are talking about, for example, Jetstar has a mobile phone, has a mobile app application. So if they create any change on the mobile app, and then just keep and change it, and then, for example, they might think when they change the mobile application, they introduce a new feature on the mobile application, thinking, oh, that might happen. This is a kind of double-edged sword. Right? Because, for example, they might introduce a new feature on the application, thinking, oh, this might happen, that might help the customer, but actually it might make it worse actually. So we have to be careful with this as well, with beta factor, when you introduce a feature on your application or on your website, which customers might don't understand exactly what you're saying or what do you mean, why you made that change, and they prefer the previous one. So we have to be careful with this. Negative feedbacks. Because for example, nowadays, most of people, they just trust in friends of friends. So if, for example, one of the customers has a bad experience using Jetstar, they might start to spread negative feedbacks around the social media, or even with friends. So we must be really careful with this, with negative feedbacks, because they might spread negative words about the company. So we have to really be really careful with this. So if you will realize, for example, any negative feedbacks on social media or website or something like this, we have to answer these questions and these requirements as soon as possible in order to avoid like massive negative feedbacks. All right, so now I'm going to pass the floor to John. He will talk a little bit more about interactive marketing techniques. Thanks, guys.
Can you just